Okay.
You're on.
All right, yeah. We'll call a meeting to order. We'll do a roll call. I'm Ray Mitchell. I chair the Civil Service Commission.
Deputy Chief Jeff Young.
Brian McManus, co-chair.
Joshua Wilson, Civil Service Commissioner.
And Julie Good, Examiner Secretary.
Okay, and the first item we have, item A on action items, is approve the minutes of the November 3rd Civil Service Commission. That's a special meeting.
Yeah, I've read the amendments. I have no changes.
Same.
Okay, there was a motion to accept them as
Not
written?
yet. When do you want to make a motion?
Yeah.
I can make a motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I see on those minutes, I was excused, but thank you, I appreciate that. The second item we have on here, item B, is to approve the entry level police officer continuous testing eligibility list. Everybody had an opportunity to look at that?
Yes,
Okay, are there any
Yes.
questions?
No.
I have no questions. A motion to accept the eligibility list.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. The next action item is the approval of lateral police officer continuous testing eligibility list.
Again, read it, no changes, and motion to accept.
Seconded.
Motion been seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Item 4, staffing and recruiting update. I guess we'll go to you, Jeff.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for your participation. So I just spoke with one of our lateral officers that is on the list. He's out of Texas, so we are starting him in the process. I sent him the personal history statement, and we've identified polygraph services in Texas to try to mitigate the amount of travel that's going to be required for that candidate. So hopefully we'll get him moving forward here real quick and hopefully get him on board. And then, of course, we have another lateral officer that is on this list now that we're going to be starting the process with. Julie and I were talking about that just prior to this meeting. So we'll be moving forward on that. Julie and I were also talking about a couple of different recruiting strategies. Go for the low hanging fruit. So what I'll start doing is making some more Facebook and Twitter posts and some LinkedIn posts, just little things like a picture, an officer with a kid, on a swing or something like that. Join LSPD. Here's the QR code that we've been using. And just hopefully see if we can generate a little bit more traffic that way. And again, putting it out on our LinkedIn platforms. And Brian, you and I have talked about that before. We're on our personal pages. Sometimes we get a few more hits. So we're going to try that too. And other than that, I have nothing. Any questions, gentlemen?
Are you?
Yeah, the only thing I would say is a follow-up. Oh, sorry, Julie, go ahead. Is that
I'm sorry, are you allowed to tell us which one of the laterals you just spoke about?
Oh, yeah. So number 3 is the gentleman I just spoke with earlier today. And we're going to get him moving forward. Like I said, we've got a polygraph examiner lined up in Texas. And it's another side note on that. I was able to connect with the president of the Texas Polygraph Association. So if we get any other laterals from Texas, we'll be able to service the polygraph there really easily because there's connectivity all over the state there.
Great.
So that was a very good find for us.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and then number 2 will be the guy that we start moving forward with
Oh, okay.
next.
Fantastic. So Chief, one of the things when you post on LinkedIn, if you make sure you kind of tag the other commissioners if they're on LinkedIn, LinkedIn's kind of like Facebook. If it doesn't come up, you don't see it, right? Necessarily. But if you tag, it'll go into my network. I can blast it out to my 2,500 counterparts across the world here that might get a subtraction from laterals.
I will do that.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet.
So in a little more information, can you kind of tell us where we're at in numbers? I know at one time we were 8 short through the end of the year. Is that on one of these forms?
Yeah, so when you look at the number of vacant positions on page
Oh,
5,
okay, yeah,
we're currently sitting at 6 vacant positions with a possible 2 to 3 additional vacancies that are gonna fall just through attrition or some other different things. So we are anticipating for those things. And that's one of the reasons we want to get as many people attracted to our agency as possible so that we can get them at least on a list and start in the process, because, you know, we know that this is, despite our sincerest efforts of streamlining the processes, still it takes a little bit of time, especially when it comes to the background investigation. And, you know, we just cannot cut corners in some of those areas, of course. So
now we have one currently in the academy, right?
one is in the academy. He will be graduating December 22nd, at
And
which point he'll go into field training.
where does he show on here?
He's already accounted for in the police officer position.
Oh, okay,
So Chief, you're giving us a Christmas gift this year. I like that. That's awesome. All our hard work's paying off.
So we also wanted to let you guys know that Joshua Tannen, our newest lateral officer, has just recently completed his field training program and is now in a solo capacity.
Nice. Good work.
That's excellent news.
now you have, in the past, when we get new officers, they identify them at a city council meeting, correct?
Joshua was sworn in.
But that takes place at the city council meeting.
Yes.
Would you guys like to be on an email or something, notified of those meetings when there's gonna be new officers sworn in? I know I would like to.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I follow it pretty
Yes.
close. If I'm in town, I'd love to be able to attend, you know, some of the ceremonies and stuff just to support.
So you can do that, Julie?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, great, thank you. Now we have item B here, police officer disqualifiers.
Yeah, you know, that was really good information. I appreciate you sending that out, you know, if you
Oh,
run into
that's-
people, like I've met quite a few folks that, you know, are police officers coming in from other cities that maybe have a beer in a local establishment that I might be talking to. And I'm trying to like figure out a way, like, how do you prevent them without saying, listen, do you have any problems with what you're doing right now? You know, so I'm trying to recruit from that metric of surrounding police departments, right? Hey, if you live in Lake Stevens, there's a benefit to being in your own community, a big benefit. And one of the things I was going to say too, Chief, is there's a couple of people who are pretty good videographers in town, and I want to approach a couple of them, but I wanted to run it by you first about maybe we can do a short video that you can post on Facebook, LinkedIn with one of the newer officers explaining why they came to Lake Stevens and what their experience has been, you know, to maybe try to help with a recruiting effort.
Absolutely, that's a great idea. And just for the commission's awareness, we have spoken with 2 different production companies to do just that, produce some sort of video. One of the things that we wanted to do with that was to have some sort of a personal touch, you know, like humanize the officer and, you know, do exactly what you're talking about, Brian, is saying that, you know, we joined this department for these reasons. We became an officer for these reasons, and, you know, really try to tell that personal story so that we can start attracting some more like-minded type individuals. But yeah, that's a great idea. I would love to assist you in that in any way I can. Because you're right, that would be a good thing. And we were also talking earlier about, you know, we have technology, you know, just with our city issued iPhones,
Absolutely.
you can actually make a short video and then post that and then, you know, put some tags on there. Again, you know, try to close it out with our join us with the QR code and hopefully generate some more traffic that way.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, you know, because we have some officers who've been serving for a long time in the city too, right? It would be interesting to get, you know, their perspective. They've been here a while, and then get someone's news perspective who's been here a year or so, you know, the why you came here and then what it's like, really, right? Tell the story. So I think it'd be pretty powerful recruiting tool if we could get it, if we could pull it off. So I'll talk around to a couple of people. Maybe we don't have to hire a production company. We can just do it on a low budget local for the first one, see how that looks, and decide if you want to take that and scale it up to a full-blown production company or not, you know?
Absolutely, that sounds great.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
somebody goes on the city website now and looks for information on the police department. There's nothing in there like that right now?
There is, so when you go on to the main website,
Yeah.
you can navigate to the police department page, and right on the very, I guess, opening page, it will tell you, how do I become a police officer? Here you go. And, you know, we do have those dog tags that have the QR code on there as well. We've got the bumper stickers. So if you guys don't have the dog tags, we'll make sure you at least
But
get a
does
few.
it have like testimonials or from other officers and stuff like that?
No, it doesn't have the testimonial yet, but that's certainly something we can think about doing, like, here's why Jeff Young became
Yeah,
Lake Stevens officer, and here's why Joshua Tanner came over, so on and so forth.
yeah,
So,
I
yeah,
love working here, right? A little why I love working here letter back. Yeah, that'd be good.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing we could do, because working for Amazon, I got to get a little Amazonian on you, is maybe we can do a splash banner on top of the city's website. When you log into the website, maybe there's a banner that says we're hiring for LSPD or other city positions that are open, right? So make that kind of jump out at you instead of someone going in there and trying to search to see if we're hiring or find your link to the police department from that page. So you can do a banner headline. Maybe we can work on that to get that done too.
that sounds like a great idea.
You know, I saw something in the mail the other day. I think it comes out once a month. It's about Lake Stevens and features businesses. I forget what it's
Yep.
called. Anyway, they had a thing and a nice ad for Department of Corrections. You know, Monroe, they're looking for people there right and left, but I forget what it's called. It used to feature a picture of a restaurant owner and the family right on the cover. You know what I'm talking about, guys?
I do know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either off the top of my head, Ray, but let me go talk to those people because I'm sure they would be benevolent if I gave them a good reason why, right? That's what I do. So
Yeah, well, I think that comes out once a month, doesn't it?
I think it does. Yeah.
I think it says like
There's so
Lake-
many different mediums of advertising we can use, but really your homegrown stuff with like your Facebook page, city
Yeah.
landing page, LinkedIn, those are where people are looking. Like LinkedIn's a really powerful recruiting tool for anybody in America that's hiring right now, other than, your typical link, the different profile places you go out and find a job, but LinkedIn is really a networking opportunity. And it's, it gives an opportunity for an officer to reach out to an officer, somebody thinking about it in Missouri might want to be able to reach out and connect with a LSPD officer and just ask them, how is it there? Do you like it? Is it good? Is it affordable? All those things, right?
So there hasn't been any changes on our incentives. It's still, what, 25,000 plus moving expenses and plus education down the road?
Yeah, so it's up to 25,000 depending on your length of service.
Right, okay.
So we've had one officer get that, and then we had another officer get the lower amount, but you're talking about the disparity in
Yeah.
the length of service.
Sure.
So we just haven't been able to push through that yet, so we're still working on it.
Well, I just got back from Hawaii and I talked to some of the officers over there and they're going through the same thing. It used to be a place where we could recruit people out of Hawaii. Not anymore. They're in the same situation.
Yeah. And I think to your point, Chief, personalizing it is the way to go, right? You got to reach these people at a different level because you go testing, you want to become a police officer, you're testing everywhere, right? You're testing anybody who's got a hiring card out, you're going to try and get on the list and move up. And I think if there's a connection there that makes it a little bit more personal, it makes it an easier decision at the end of the day, right? When you start getting those calls in to come in and go through polygraphs and things like that to actually execute it. So
Yeah.
I'd like to see us do something like that. And I'm happy to help any capacity I can. So I'll work with the video folks and see if I can get someone to volunteer to do that initially on the first pass. And then see how it looks, we'll take a look at it. If it looks like we can post it, great. If not, then here's what we're looking for, production company, right? Keep it tight. And then I think the other question I have for you, Chief, is I know we're doing the signing bonuses now. Are we putting any kind of clawback in there, like minimum 2 years of service, anything like that, attached to that signing bonus to keep them from doing a one and done fleeing, get the money and run type of thing? Or
So what we do is we stagger the payment of it. It just really depends on when we do their final offer of employment. It
Sure.
can say you're going to get your first payout upon the completion of field training, and then the
Okay.
next payout upon the completion of probation.
Okay.
We do have it staggered, so yeah, we're trying to avoid that 1 or 2 year thing, and then hey, look at this other agency's offering a bigger signing bonus. So I'm going to take this, and there is a repayment clause that's in that too.
good. That's good. Because a couple departments didn't do that and they're paying the price for that right now, right? Like, oh, that's a miss. So yeah. And the only reason I know that is we put that in every contract I've ever written, right, with the federal government. It's always a clawback clause and they're like, hey, not that they adhere to it at the federal level, but the state and local, they do.
Now, is there any way to tap into like the military, like Joint Base Lewis McChord? They must know how many military people they have that are going to be coming out of the service at a certain time.
Mhm.
They do, Ray. So does Bremerton and so does Everett, right? So the idea there is each one of those bases generally will hold a career day right? Where you can come in and recruit, right? Just like we've done in Snohomish County with the career day there. And I don't know if you've got access to those folks, Chief. I can try to work up. I had an old doc that I have with the Sheriff's Department. Maybe I can refresh it for you if that's something you don't have now. But they routinely for veterans run career fairs, right, on local. Like we have a big push in Amazon to hire 100,000 veterans every year. That's our deal. And this year I upped the ante and put in for 100,000 spouses of veterans to be hired, right? Because generally there's no reason a person with a master's degree should be working at a Burger King because they think they're going to bill it out in 2 years. We're a remote company. They can work anywhere, you know? So we've got that luxury, but I think there's different ways you can be creative to differentiate your department. Obviously we're a great city. It's a cool place to live. I'm happy to tell anybody that asks me, you know? And I think if we can show them that quality of life and what it's like to be a police officer here versus other departments, it's a bonus really at the end of the day. It's a great environment to work in. And there's, you know, as we grow, that upscales positions for growth in their careers, right? You can give them a career path to whether it's, you know, accident investigation or whatever you're gonna put a new billet in for, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, Julie and I have already talked about that. And we're going to be approaching the military bases as well, because one of the obvious factors with the military members that they're accustomed to certain standards and they already have discipline, and, you know, the discipline being, you know, shining your boots and doing the right thing when you're supposed to, showing up on time and that kind of thing. So yeah, we're very much into that. But I love your idea of, you know, recruiting the spouses of military members too, because we got a number of people. Matter of fact, one of our officers is married to a service member that's stationed out at NAS Woodby. So
Okay.
that's great. You know, but we can start maybe focusing on that too.
And
Yeah.
we do advertise on the military websites as much as are available, and veterans websites. And we do also focus on military spouse advertising. So we do have all those bases covered, but they, you know, there's always new places to post every day. So any recommendations you have or we'll accept gratefully.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, does anybody else have anything?
That was all I had personally, right?
I make a motion, we adjourn the meeting?
Oh, we got new
Whoops.
business.
Huh?
Oh, that's right, the new business, we forgot about
And we
that.
actually have something for you. So give me just a moment here as I. Do you want to talk about what we want to do? Do you feel comfortable talking about that while I try to pull up the presentation?
Okay, so one of the things that we've been talking about trying to do is when we say streamlining the processes, we want to try to get the time decrease from when we get an application. And, you know, let's start with laterals and then we'll work our way to entry level. But what we'd like to do with the commission's approval and concurrence is to remove an oral board examination from part of that process, because sometimes that can take a whole day to, you know, get through the oral boards. So what we'd like to do is set up some other scoring criteria that will enable us to rank those people or get a score from it. And, you know, what that kind of looks like is, what's your length of service and what certifications do you have? So are you a firearms instructor? Are you emergency vehicle operations instructor? On and on. I mean, if you can think of a certification or experience in some fashion, you know, we've got that on a list right now. We've got traffic officer, Marine officer, SWAT, canine, et cetera, et cetera. So
Right.
all of those would be worth a certain point value. So that way we can say, okay, we've assessed qualifications and here's a way that we're going to get there versus having to sit through an oral board. And I'm sure you all sat through an oral board where you hear the same answers over and over. And
Yeah.
we're just, what we would like to do is be able to expedite that timeline into the process. And if we can eliminate, you know, one of those things by just saying, here's your qualifications, push it forward. And then
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I didn't even think that was an option, Chief, to be honest with you, but I think it's a great idea because I think and I like how it's a maybe invited, right? So if you've made the decision, you know, I don't know any other employers really that go through an oral board to get hired, right? So if you can sit there and interview and you got a good feeling about a person, you know what you're looking for, you know, it becomes a good thing if you can make a decision, hey, we don't need to proceed with an oral board for this candidate. We feel confident, let's move forward. If that accelerates it, I think that's a game changer for you as far as getting people into the queue faster.
Now, is there a city or state requirement that we have to have one?
No, there isn't. And what we're seeing now to compete with other agencies, we're kind of lagging. Most
Oh.
a lot of agencies have already done this. So for
Okay.
their laterals, what the chief was saying is on the application, we would ask all these questions, and for every extra qualification they have, it would give them a point. And those points would be what we'd use to put them on the eligibility list instead of the oral board.
Gotcha.
And then for the entry level candidates, they already take a written test through our subscription testing service. So we could use that score to put them on the eligibility list without having to do oral boards.
Yeah.
And the rules would allow that with just that little modification you see online, changing it from shall to may.
Right.
And then once they're on the eligibility list, the process would still be similar to what we do now. They do a command staff interview, they'll do maybe a ride along or two. So there would still be that kind of personal touch with the decision maker. So they could still get to know the candidates a little bit, and probably in a more relaxed environment to some extent than an oral board.
Now, Julie, do you need our approval to change this?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we need a motion to change the rule.
I'll make a motion to change. I think it's a great idea, Julie.
Okay,
Is
great.
there a second? Josh?
Yeah.
You have any questions, Joshua?
Well, I just wanted to know when it was initially implemented and if there was a reason or a benefit to pursuing it as it stands.
How long we've been doing oral boards?
Right. How long has this been in the process, and was there a reason that it was initially implemented?
I can't speak to when it started. I've been here 4.5 years, and the oral boards were in place when I got here, but I've been doing public sector, HR, and civil service for 16 or 17 years now. And it was regularly the process at all agencies, even back then. I can't speak to anything further back than that.
One of the things to add there would be is that for at least the last 30 some years, it has been a standardized law enforcement practice across the country. So it wasn't anything specific to Lake Stevens. It's just been, this is kind of the customary things. Like when you look at our hiring process, and we won't put anything in order here, but you have your either a written test or some sort of assessment to determine whether you're initially qualified to enter. Then you've got a physical agility test, medical, polygraph, psychological, all those different factors in there. So there was an oral board that was set there, and now part of that was just to see where are you on the spectrum. Are you trainable? Because what we're trying to do here is we're hiring for attitude and the overall attitude, and we can train for the skill, which is pretty much anything, right? Because we want to have that person that fits, that has that like-mindedness of being community service oriented and professional police services, on and on. But so to answer your question, it's just been something we've done for the longest time, and now we're recognizing that, number one, to expedite our process, number two, to compete with other agencies, and three, just to get more in line with what's going on in the general business community. Now we want to just try something different and use some other rubric to establish that criteria.
And we've had long conversations about whether there's really value added to the process by doing an oral board. And we had many long conversations about it, and we're just not seeing that it's really a value add to the process. It adds time, not value.
You feel that you can make that assessment without this step?
Yes.
Okay. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion is carried. Are you all right with that, Julie?
Yeah, actually, Brian, could you modify your motion just to accept the change?
Yep.
In
I
the-
motion to accept the change to make the oral board optional in the process for hiring.
Okay.
And I can second it again.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carried.
Great. Thank you.
Is
Thank you.
that
Absolutely.
the only thing on new business?
That was it.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and we'll see you guys at our next meeting.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Julie.
Meeting's
Thank
adjourned.
you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.